I'm not saying I'm proud of what I did, not saying the guilt doesn't crawl up my spine at night. But I refuse to pretend I would calmly stand still while people with badges bought at a costume store tried to erase me. I wasn't built to kneel, smile, and disappear quietly. Survival has a voice, and mine was already clearing its throat. Welcome to Karen Conflict. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch HOA drama. It began when Diane decided our HOA dues were no longer a fee, but a ransom. In 3 months, she cranked them from $150 to a brutal $1,000, smiling through every announcement like she was offering charity. She blamed maintenance, safety, and vague improvements nobody could see, touch, or verify. The only visible upgrade was her new army of so-called HOA enforcement. Grown adults strutting our streets with fake authority. Surplus uniforms and itchy trigger fingers. They loitered near mailboxes, questioned visitors, flashed firearms over trash bins, and called it community protection. I tried patience. I tried meetings. I tried reason. Diane tried intimidation. Notices appeared on doors. Fines multiplied overnight, and neighbors stopped making eye contact. That silence bothered me more than the threats, so I did what disciplined people do. When nonsense starts wearing a uniform. I started reading. I've pulled records, budgets, amendments, old votes, and bank statements that were never meant to be compared side by side. Numbers don't lie, but they do whisper when someone hopes nobody is listening. The whispers grew loud. Transfers didn't match projects. Payments landed in accounts that had nothing to do with landscaping or repairs. Expenses were duplicated, rounded, padded, and rerouted. Diane wasn't managing funds. She was siphoning them, slowly, confidently, sloppily. I copied everything, backed it up twice, and kept digging deeper. Because once you see rot, you check the beams holding the house. By the time dawn crept through my blinds, I knew one thing for certain. Diane hadn't just overplayed her hand. She had built her throne on quicksand, and I was standing close enough to feel its shift beneath her. That realization tightened my focus and sharpened every step ahead. So before we dive in deeply, let us know in the comments what country or which city you're watching this story from. We'd love to know how far this story travels. As a retired naval officer, I understood power the way storms understand coastlines. Something that must be respected, or it destroys everything nearby. Authority without restraint always rots, and Diane's smile carried that exact stench. With the documents I collected, I could already feel the case tightening like a knot. Every altered ledger, every ghost vendor, every inflated invoice stacked into a story even a blind judge could read. I spoke quietly to neighbors, one door at a time, careful not to spook them. They answered in whispers, eyes darting, hands shaking. People begged me to stop, saying, Diane ruins lives, drains savings, and weaponizes fines until families move out overnight. Fear had become her most effective bylaw. I listened, recorded statements, and promised anonymity, though I knew promises only go so far when bullies smell resistance. The next HOA meeting was scheduled like a public execution. Diane arrived, dressed sharp, jewelry gleaming, flanked by her uniformed toys. When the floor opened, I stood, laid the paperwork down, and spoke calmly. I explained the math, I explained the transfers. I explained how dues became personal revenue. Gasps rippled. Diane laughed first, then froze when pages circulated. The room went silent, heavy, dangerous. She tried denial, then deflection, then insults. None of it stuck. Facts sat there, stubborn and ugly. I told her I'll be seeing my attorney in the morning. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I simply promised accountability. Diane smiled back, slow and confident, like someone who already paid for the ending. When the meeting adjourned, I noticed the way her hired enforcers stared. It wasn't anger. It was calculation. Their hands hovered too close to their belts, eyes memorizing my walk, my posture, my pace. That's when training kicked in. I changed routes home, varied timing, and secured backups off-site. I wasn't paranoid. I was prepared. That night, I cleaned my kitchen, checked locks twice, and reviewed exit plans I hoped never to use. Courage isn't loud. Sometimes it's just refusing to sleepwalk into danger while pretending everything will be fine. Tomorrow promised consequences ahead. Sleep barely settled in before a sharp noise pulled me awake. Something moved downstairs, slow and intentional. Not a mistake and not an accident. Years of discipline kicked in immediately. I stayed still, listening. Cabinets opened. Drawers slid. These weren't burglars guessing. They knew the layout. Then I heard their voices clearly. One whispered about finding the documents. The other replied that Diane wanted everything erased tonight. A pause followed. Then the sentence that turned my blood cold. He said, if we leave him alive, he'll just dig up more proof. So it's better if he doesn't wake up tomorrow. That's when I understood they weren't here to scare me. They were here to end me. I called emergency services quietly and left the line open. After that, I acted fast. I grabbed 2 pillows, stacked them under my blanket, and shaped them like a human body. I pulled the bedsheet over them carefully, smoothing it down so it looked exactly like someone sleeping on their side. From the doorway, it was convincing. Anyone glancing in would think I was still in bed. I didn't stay there. I moved into the corner of the room, out of sight, weapon ready, controlling my breathing. Heavy footsteps climbed the stairs. The door creaked open. I stayed silent. 2 gunshots exploded into the bed, shredding pillows and mattress foam. Feathers burst into the air. That's when they realized the truth. One shouted, "That's not him." They turned too late. One raised his weapon toward my position, but I fired first, dropping him hard. He screamed, but kept moving, so I ended his ability to stand. The second panicked, firing wildly into the walls. I moved again, steady and precise, stopping him before he could adjust. Once both threats were neutralized, I secured the weapons, checked the house quickly, then went downstairs. I sat on the couch, breathing slow, waiting calmly for the police to arrive. Sirens cut through the night minutes later. The police arrived in force, lights washing the house in red and blue, while officers cleared every room with practiced urgency. I complied with every command, hands visible, voice steady, because innocence doesn't need theatrics. Paramedics followed, working on the men Diane sent, sealing wounds they never expected to earn that night. I was taken in for questioning, not in cuffs of guilt, but in procedures of caution, and I understood that part of the process. At the station, the story unraveled fast. The 2 men cracked separately, their courage leaking out with the adrenaline. They admitted everything. Diane hired them. She paid them through shell accounts disguised as security expenses. The original order, they claimed, was to retrieve documents and destroy backups. When pressed harder, timelines slipped, messages surfaced, and intentions became harder to soften. Fear made them careless. Digital trails don't forget. Diane tried to rewrite the night. She claimed, "I never asked for violence, only recovery of property, only protection of HOA assets." That lie collapsed under timestamps, recorded calls, and the testimony of the very people she trusted to do her dirty work. The financial investigation reopened immediately, this time with warrants, subpoenas, and eyes that couldn't be intimidated by jewelry or volume. By morning, the board members who stood behind her resigned or lawyered up. Accounts were frozen. Properties were searched. The neighborhood woke up to news vans where her patrols once stood. People who wouldn't speak yesterday suddenly remembered everything. Silence broke like glass under pressure. Charges stacked quickly. Conspiracy, fraud, money laundering, attempted murder tied directly to her instructions and payments. The enforcers faced prison. Diane faced something worse. Exposure. Every document I collected became public record. Every threat she made became evidence. The do's, the fear, the control, all laid bare. The end. Please like and subscribe to Karen Conflict for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.